Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Sabir Alim. What's going on? Yeah. Did you see the game last night, man? Listen, Golden State Warriors showed their behind in the second half. I have not been following a lot of basketball because basketball just showed it and just turned into showtime for me, so I really stopped getting into it. But over the last couple of months, well, really, when the Sixers started showing out, that's when I started picking up watching ball again, because I'm seeing some balling, right? I'm not seeing the showtime kind of stuff. I'm seeing some straight balling. Last night's Golden State Warriors game, Game 7 is a recordable game. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. So, it has been quite a week. Needless to say, it's an extended weekend for me this weekend. So I'm going to spend some time working on some projects. I still have the film that I'm polishing up, so that can be ready for its release September 29th, 2018. My birthday, my 58th birthday, I will be releasing my second film. Not sure at this moment how it's going to be distributed. Still working on that. Got a couple of different ideas so I can kind of put it in your mouth and give you something to salivate on for some time, moving you towards making a purchase. So I got some ideas I'm working on. But listen, I'm certainly no Spike Lee. Working on it. Listening to Spike, following some direction, watching film, doing some things to kind of learn how to use what I have. Because for me, that's what it always comes down to. Use what you have, put yourself out there, let people see what you're working with, and if someone is interested in what it is that you're doing, they'll let you know. But it's always a matter of putting yourself in alignment, and that's what I spent years of my life doing, putting myself in alignment. I've done many things throughout the years of my life: DJing, acting, chef, I'm a graphic design artist. I've done studios, stage, lighting, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And I just try to put myself in alignment with whatever the opportunity may be presenting for me. I may have an opportunity to do some directing, some producing, some film acting. I've only done stage acting. It's so many things, man, that I keep my hands into, even doing this show. I may have an opportunity at some point to do a live show on television or radio. Have no idea, but in the meantime, this is what I enjoy doing. Wouldn't trade my life in for the world. And I just continue to move forward towards goals. So for those of you who don't know, I have made a conscious decision that I have tired of smoking cigars. I enjoy cigars. I was actually cutting down, reducing them as much as possible, and it's got to the point where I need to stop. I need to stop. I smoke cigars daily, and when I look at, I just started the repayment for my student loans. When I look at the monthly amount of the repayment, and I look at the monthly amount of what I spend in cigars, well, that's a student loan payment. So you have to look at different things like that. You know, you really have to begin to look at, so if you want a new car, what is a car note going to cost you every month? What can you afford? And typically what we'll do is we'll put together a financial picture based on what it currently is. And we'll factor into the equation everything but our daily spending, right? So one of the things that I've learned through listening and watching some financial betterment type videos is if I take all the receipts from my entire month of spending and look at all those receipts, and I maybe do that for 1 to 3 months, I will certainly find money for a new car. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Because you go to the store every day. You just stop at the store, you go to Dunkin' Donuts, you go to lunch, you go get something from the fast food restaurant, the whole nickel and dime thing. You play in the lottery, you do all of these things and don't realize where all your money is going. And then when you sit down and look at it, you say, well, wow, I'm literally throwing away $300-400. And that's how you have to look at things. So when I looked at the repayment, I was like, oh man, I gotta do it anyway, I know. And then I started looking at what I had at the end. Well, I still had some ones in the end, but it wasn't what I was used to. So I said, okay, so now, but if you continue smoking cigars at the rate and cost that you are, you're going to cut what you have left in the end in half, if not more. So where's your rationale? So I'll be 58 in September. I'd love to see 59. And as much as I enjoy cigars, I am addicted to them. But a lot of that also works hand in hand with my stress level and some of the things that I've been working through over the past 2 years. So my anxiety has been off the charts. My stress level is coming down more and more. So I'm working through a lot of things. But again, it's not easy. I chew gum, the gum works for me. A lot of stopping has more to do with habit than the urge. Because I can chew gum, not have the urge, but the habit is what happens next. So when I go to the beach, what do I typically do? I go to the beach, chill, smoke a cigar. Now I have to learn to do something different. I condition myself to do that. I condition myself to do that. So now I have to recondition myself to doing something else when I go to the beach. So I have to figure that one out. I haven't gotten there yet. I just know that my goal right now is to stop smoking cigars. That's my goal. And like anything else, along the way, you regress, you go back into, but it's not a failure. The goal is still set. I have publicly set this goal. I'm giving you permission to ask me. I'm giving you permission to challenge me. I'm giving you permission to help me. Stop smoking cigars. I love them. But because of my personality, I latch onto something and, I'll stay with it. All in. 100%. I'm on it. I've just started toning down my coffee over the last month and a half because I like really strong coffee. If I make a 6-cup pot of coffee, I'm going to put 8 of my little scoops in there because it's going to give me that bite. So I always tell people, if I'm not gritting my teeth, that's not a good cup of coffee. But then I start looking at, a lot of it had more to do with the anxiety and the depression that I've been dealing with more intensely over the last 2 years. And it is going down a lot. But a lot of that had to do with that. And understand this, no caffeinated product will help depression. If you have clinical depression, it ain't going to help. It is not going to help. So if you've been watching my show, The Wise View, over the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about mental health awareness. So that's just some food for thought. But it ties into today's show as well. And today's show is on 5 things you should never feel guilty about asking for in your relationship. And a lot of times what happens is especially if you are a codependent person, as I have been for most of my life, and have been working off of me over the past few months. The tendency to ask your partner for what you want can be very difficult, because for me, as a codependent person, as I had been, I always sought to make sure that person had. So I would always give that person. I would always do for that person. I would tend to avoid areas of conflict and confrontation because I don't want you to leave. Because if I bring that up, you're going to get upset again, you're going to leave. So I don't talk about it. I take it on the chin. And that's also part of male conditioning, that when things happen, we just take things on the chin and keep it moving. We just keep it moving. We just keep right on moving. And another aspect of that, of not saying anything, is not just you don't want the person to leave, you want the person to stay, you want the person to love you, you want the person to like you, and a lot of that usually has something to do with your self-concept. So if you don't see yourself as being attractive, you see yourself as having challenges and all these other things, well, that's the pictures you painted of yourself within yourself, therefore you're going to take a lot more crap. The other part to it is, if the sex is great, a lot of times people are just fixated on the sex in the relationship. So, we have a terrible argument, but we're going to have great sex later. So we have this great make-up sex. So it just ain't that bad. But at the end of the day, when you look back on your life, or when you look forward, you wonder, like, okay, so how am I going to get past this area? I've done this all of my life. And I can tell you, help is available. Either you begin to look at some self-help books that guide you in the direction towards change, and or seek counseling to move yourself away from that. But again, it's a difficult thing to ask your partner for what it is that you want in your relationship, and you shouldn't have to feel guilty about it. You shouldn't have to feel guilty about it. So the list that I'm going to cover today is going to deal with asking these questions, and it's 5 things that you should be able to ask. So let me go to the article. Everyone knows relationships come with very important element of compromise. Making some sacrifices, or at the very least, learning to make decisions together. And consider another person's feelings when you make decisions for yourself is part of what makes a partnership work. That said, there are some things you should never feel guilty asking for when you're in a relationship. Relationships are work and effort. It's twofold. And there's no getting around that. Being with someone is a choice you make every day, even if it feels like that decision's an easy one most of the time. You have to figure out what works for both of you. And sometimes that means asking for what you want or need, just like it means being prepared to listen to what your partner is looking for. Whether that means asking for more time together, asking for time apart, or asking for the help doing something that's important to you. The thing to remember is that you're allowed to ask without feeling guilty. Just remember, no matter how long you've been in a relationship, putting yourself first is important. No matter how long you've been in a relationship, just remember, putting yourself first is important. The key is making sure that you do it in a way that is respectful excuse me, of your partner's needs and feelings too. Here are 5 things you should never feel guilty about asking for in a healthy, fulfilling, and loving relationship, and things you should encourage your partner to ask for too. So let's go to the very last paragraph, the smallest of the paragraphs, where it says, here are 5 things you should never feel guilty about asking for in a healthy, fulfilling, and loving relationship. Okay, let's start there. So the implications here are what? You should be having a healthy relationship. You should be having a healthy relationship. And I did a series on healthy versus unhealthy relationships. What is a healthy relationship? I guarantee you, if I ask the question of what is an unhealthy relationship to a group of people, everybody will start bashing their partner. Oh, I can tell you what it is. She don't do this and she don't do that. He don't do this and he need to, and men need to. I guarantee you, that conversation will go on and on and on and on till the end of time. To the end of time. But when I ask the question, what is a healthy relationship? People tend to come up with things that they want and need out of a relationship. And it doesn't mean that what they want and need is the same thing the other person wants and needs. But the assumption is that others have those same wants and needs, and they get lumped into this description of a healthy relationship. And that doesn't mean it's a healthy relationship because they're your wants and needs. You have to look at what healthiness is. Healthiness is something that contributes to your well-being. That's what makes it healthy. Do we talk? Do we hold hands? If I'm affectionate, are you affectionate? Are you supportive? How are you supportive? When I go through changes, how do you address those issues when they come up? Are you aggressive in addressing them? Are you unempathetic? Are you inconsiderate? Are you coarse, crass? How do you approach those things? Because a healthiness of a relationship, it has nothing to do, right? Well, let me say this. Has little to do with finances. And I say little to do because when you look at the healthiness, you look at yourself. Look at your diet. Look at what you eat. Look at what you drink. Look at the environment that you have yourself in. Look at how you care for yourself. Look at how groomed you are. Look at how, spiritual you are. Are you practicing something that, what I'm saying? All these things are part of health. Because if you're unhealthy, what does that mean? You can't participate fully in things. So when we're talking about having a healthy relationship, as it states here, that's important. Because if it's not a healthy relationship, the likelihood of you being able to go to your partner and ask your partner for what you need, or to tell your partner what you want from this relationship, ain't gonna happen. Because it's not healthy. Y'all ain't got no damn business being together. You don't. None at all. Okay? The other thing it talks about here, if you are in a fulfilling relationship, how fulfilling is that relationship? Do you find joy in it? Or do you find that you're more wound up and aggravated and irritated? More than anything. That's not fulfilling. Is that what you want? It's like when you go to a restaurant, if you ask for a medium rare steak and they bring it to you well. Now all the accompaniments are really good, but they're steak. See, when we go, us steak eaters, because I'm not a frequent steak eater, but I know when I want a steak, I want a medium steak. I want to see some color in there. I don't want it to look like it's a piece of cooked wood. Right? So I know that the mashed potatoes are good, the mixed veggies are good, everything is really good. But then when I cut into the steak and I look at it and it's not what I want, I can do one or two things. I can send it back and wait for another one while my partner is grubbing on, or I can suck it up and just go ahead and eat it, because it's not a bad steak, it's just not what I want. You follow me here? It's not what I wanted. I ate it. It was a good meal, but was it fulfilling? No. No. What's up in here, what I am seeking, is that medium steak. So it's unfulfilling because it came out well done. So it didn't satisfy the palate. So I'm still not satisfied, right, with what I wanted. It was a good meal. Maybe even a great meal. But it could have been a greater meal had it been served the way I asked for it to be served. Yeah? You follow me here? So is that relationship you're in healthy and fulfilling? The last part of that is loving. Is it a healthy, fulfilling, and loving relationship? And you have had to define love. And that's something that should be defined when you begin dating. That should be one of those questions that you ask. What does love look like for you? Yeah. So we know what an unloving relationship looks like. What does a loving relationship look like? And you have to be able to define that. You have to be able to do that. If you don't have this kind of relationship, see, it has to be healthy, fulfilling, and loving. The implications there is that it's three parts to that relationship. But the human being is multifaceted. That's why we're so damn complicated. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of relationships take work in so many different areas. And it goes back to the beginning of this sentence here. It says everyone knows relationships come with very important element of compromise. Making some sacrifices, or at the very least learning to make decisions together and consider another person's feelings when you make decisions for yourself is part of what makes it a partnership. That said, there are some things you should never feel guilty asking your partner for in a relationship. Relationships are work and effort. Work and effort. Work and effort. Yeah. And the effort, a lot of the effort has more to do with you being open-minded, open to the change, open to the suggestion that change is needed, and doing something about it. You may have to bite your bottom lip the first month or two until you work through it, but then eventually it becomes easier. But when the first thing you do is latch on to the way you think things should be, then it's never going to be any change with that. So let's go to the list. And again, we're talking about 5 things you should never feel guilty about asking for in your relationship. And this article is on Elite Daily, E-L-I-T-E, Daily. And the article is by Brittney Morgan. Yeah, and this article was posted 5 days ago, actually. And when I saw it, I said, this would make a really, really good show topic. So, the first thing on that list, number 1, open, honest communication. To the article. It's pretty much impossible to have a healthy, fulfilling relationship without a foundation of strong communication. So, You should never feel guilty for wanting to have an open, honest conversation with your partner, or to establish how you best like to communicate with each other. Whether it's talking about how your days went, figuring out how you want to shape your relationship, or getting on the same page about your future together. You should always feel comfortable asking to communicate with your partner. And you should make them feel okay about doing the same too. So, communication is something that I have found has been the greatest deficit in just about all of my relationships. As you can see, communication is not a problem for me. And again, not bashing the other person. But understand, I do what I do. I'm a clinician. I'm a trainer. I'm a lecturer. Not Hannibal Lecter, but a lecturer. So I do a lot of trainings, I do a lot of workshops, I do a lot of videos, things of this nature. You know, I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of learning. So I know a lot of things because I delve into learnings on different areas, from politics to biology. Excuse me. And that's what I do. Now, coming up, it wasn't a whole lot to talk about. It wasn't a whole lot of dialogue, you know, in my household about a lot of things. And that wasn't, I wouldn't say that was to blame on anyone, but because of where I was emotionally as a child, mentally as a child, I didn't feel like I could. So again, it's no blame. So, you know, and when we were with the fellas, you know, you ain't talking about a whole lot of real stuff. It's a lot of hit talk, a lot of swagger, a lot of posturing that goes on. So, as I got into my teens, you know, drugs and alcohol became prevalent for me, and then I became a little more sociable about things. But I'm a shy person. I'm shy. I really am. And I would see things happen, and I would find myself at times saying things about them, and the person would change toward me. So if you take my childhood and you take me seeing that kind of behavior coming from people, I stopped talking about a lot of things. And then at some point I just seemed to, it just showed up and I just exploded. So most of my dialogue turned into long drawn out angry rants, because I just got to the point of being sick of things. And I'm still like that today. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, I'll take a lot, I'll be patient with a lot of things, I'll do a lot of compromising. I'm doing less compromising now, but I will make every effort to bring resolve to anything so we don't have to carry it, because we shouldn't have to carry it. For one thing, it's unhealthy for me, because again, you got to take care of you first. It's unhealthy for me to be in those circumstances where it's stressful, unnecessarily. We're not talking about the normal stress of moving, starting new jobs, new in a relationship, you know, newness of things. But the other stuff, your unmanaged stuff, because you're unwilling, because you're not open to addressing your stuff. I can't deal with those kind of things. And I'll be patient and I'll be compromising, but as long as we keep revisiting it over and over and over and over and over and over again, and you're not doing anything about it, that's a problem for me. And it should be a problem for you if you're in a relationship that is like that. But that's a problem for me. So at one point it was brought to my attention that behavior had shown. Now they didn't know anything about this, But when they were telling me, I was like, inside I just broke down because I spent so many years of my life, right? Learning how to manage that aspect of self, that aspect of self that just like goes off. And then because the stress level in that relationship had begun to mount so much, I had found myself right back that person again. Going on and on and on with angry rant, because I allowed this to build. I allowed this to build. So that means that I had to learn early on, before I got back into the mode, I had to learn early on how to manage my own temperament. My own temperament. I had to learn early on that I am an intellectual, therefore I see things through a different lens. So when I talk to people in more of an explanatory perspective. This is what just happened. This is how I saw it. And the other person doesn't see it that way. But because the other person is not good with communicating, they can't internalize, their perception is based on a defense mechanism. They're defending themselves because they feel attacked. They feel like something is being said about them and they just need to defend themselves. Or automatically just dismiss it. That's not a healthy or fulfilling relationship, nor is it loving. So I found myself in those situations repeatedly, but it goes back to what I was saying, and I will continue to say, me being codependent was a contributor to all of that kind of behavior. Because had I opened my mouth, not only opened my mouth and said, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore like this, and forcing resolve, right? Because sometimes you have to force resolve. You can't keep being faced with situations over and over and over again that are causing you to be unhealthy. Because they're not going to change. And you'll find yourself, like I had in many cases, years down the line, still in this relationship, still dealing with the same thing. Because people's communication styles, people's way of resolve is not very good. That's been my experience. And it all goes back to resolve. So then when you're not used to having the conversation with another person, that becomes more of a challenge, because sometimes it becomes intimidating. It becomes intimidating. And I know that as an intellectual, at times I can be intimidating. Don't intend on doing it. Don't try to do it. It's not intentional. It's who I am. So if you have to slow me down, or you have to back me up, or you have to ask me to stop, and because I maybe tell me that. But don't judge me by it, because that's who I am, because now you're making me feel like I should dumb myself down because of your own difficulty. But that's where communication comes in. That's where communication comes in. Your way of communicating and my way of communicating. We have to compromise. We have to meet in the middle, so that way we both can get our needs met. But communication is the strongest aspect of any relationship. If you don't have open and honest communication, because the honest part is another thing I'll talk about in a second, but if you don't have that, you don't have a good relationship. You don't have a healthy relationship. You don't have a fulfilling relationship. Don't confuse, again, this is where a lot of confusion comes in for people. Don't confuse having great sex with having a fulfilling relationship. I'm telling you, the sex toy store, it has an abundance of toys for men and women. Both men and women. It's no longer the days of just finding the dildo. No, you got all kind of stuff. You got life-size dolls. Yeah, life-size dolls, man. You got everything for everybody. Because people are gravitating away from relationships in many ways, because they don't want to put up with the nonsense. This tech world has made it even more difficult, because people are so connected to social media, to other devices, to the devices, that relationships don't even matter. Which is why it's so important that you're stressing your needs. If you got a partner who's always on an electronic device, hey, listen, hello, you think maybe you might need some help with that? I listen, I'm telling you, I had that conversation before. I've had that conversation. Always on your electronic device. 24/7. Come in the house, you on it. Go to bed, on it. Wake up, on it. And then when I'm asking for what I need, when I'm asking for what I want, I'm interrupting that. No, that's the way you make me feel. But then you get angry because now I'm saying something about you. So now you're offended. Now I'm the problem again because I shouldn't have never asked. All right. So this whole shift with this tech world has greatly changed relationships as well. And that's a conversation that you need to have. Babe, you think maybe we can turn the television off and go sit outside and enjoy the air on that beautiful $4,500 patio that you built out back? You think maybe we can do that? Yeah. But if you don't ask for it, you'll be sitting out there by your damn self, and you'll be angry that you're sitting out there by your damn self. Your partner will be doing absolutely nothing because now you have become accustomed to sitting out there by your damn self and you say nothing else. You say nothing else. And now you're angry at them because you did nothing about it. Because it goes back to, well, if I say something, they'll get angry at me. They won't like me. They won't love me. I won't be able to get no nookie. And then they might leave me. So I don't say anything. I'm not the only one, folks. I'm just the only one who just admits that codependence has been an issue throughout all his life. But I'm not the only one who deals with that. So when you talk about honest communication, well, I need to be honest. And the reason why honesty and openness is missing from communication is missing from so many relationships, because you're calling something a relationship that really isn't. If I'm in a relationship with you, we should be friends. Friends tell friends the truth. Right? I mean, that's my definition of a friendship. Sometimes you might have to put a little cut on it, because if you give it to them straight, they might be hurt by it. And then sometimes you might have to give it to them raw. But friends should be able to tell friends the truth. And most relationships, I can tell you, people are not even friends. They're not even friends. Everything about their relationship is conditional. Everything. My experience has been that a lot of times what my partners really wanted was a homie, was a person who they felt safe with. But they didn't understand, and I'm just going to give it to you like this. They didn't fully understand the tenets of marriage, the responsibility that comes along with that. They just wanted to have fun. They just wanted to feel safe. They just wanted to have, somebody, with them that they could trust. But they didn't want the rest of the responsibility to come along with that. It don't work that way. But when you talk about honest and open communication, this is something that will be a deal breaker in just about every relationship. Because it's not honest and open if you can't say whatever it is that you want to say. And the person who you're saying it to receives it. Because see, you have to be able to receive it, and a lot of times people are not receiving things. And the reason why they're not receiving things is because of their interpretation of you. Because they haven't fully given in to you. They're still guarded. They're still protecting themselves. They're still in the mode of, I'm really not sure about whether I want to be in this relationship or not. I'm telling you, play with your life if you want. Play with your life if you want. Okay, number 2 on that list. What happened? Hold on. No. Come back. Hold on, y'all. Somehow or another, I accidentally bumped y'all off. I'm going to bump you back on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Yep. Right back. Give me a second. Here we go. We're live. All right. 2, 1, live. Hey, sorry about that, y'all, on Facebook. I was trying to minimize the page so I could go back to the window that I was on. I'm sorry I cut y'all off. All right, so here we go. Number 2 on that list is support for your goals and dreams, right? And we go to the article. In general, this is one of those things that you really shouldn't have to ask your partner for in the first place, because in a healthy, happy relationship, your partner would just be interested in and supportive of your goals, just like you should be for them. Let me read that sentence again because it sounds a little confusing even to me reading it. In general, this is one of those things that you really shouldn't have to ask for in the first place, because in a healthy, happy relationship, your partner would just be interested in and supportive of your goals, just like you should be for them. But thinking more specifically, if your partner can help you fulfill your dreams in any way, maybe you're trying to get into grad school and need help studying, for example, or maybe you need to postpone a date night to go to a networking event, you shouldn't feel bad about asking for it. They should understand and be willing to help. After all, you'd help them if you could, right? Of course, you shouldn't go overboard and asking for things all the time, especially when it comes to rescheduling plans with them. Just remember, balance is important too. So, if we go back here and we look at the first sentence, in general, this is one of those things that you really shouldn't have to ask for in the first place. You really shouldn't have to ask your partner to support your goals, hopes, dreams, and aspirations. You should never have to ask that. You should have already had the conversation about what your hopes, dreams, and aspirations are with your partner. Even that person, when that person was your intended partner, you should have had that conversation. I know I have. Because I want you to know what I do. I'm always willing to talk about me. Always. And I don't mean talk about me in a grandiose concept, but I mean like this is what I do. This is what I enjoy doing. I mean, that's part of adult conversation. I mean, it's kind of conversation I had when I was younger too, because I've always been an intellectual. So I was always talking about things that I know, because being shy, that's my best attribute, my intellectual self. So it's important to understand that people should be supporting their partner. And if you do something, or if your goals involve something that I am not willing to be a part of for a variety of reasons, not no specific reason, but if I'm not willing to be involved in that ride, then I need to not be involved in that ride. Yeah. I need to say, that's great, I wish you the best. That's just not in alignment for where I'm going. And it's okay. It's okay to say that when you're dating. It's not okay to say that once you're together. It's not okay to all of a sudden, I don't support that. Well, we were just talking, I really liked you, but I didn't think you were going to go through with this. Oh, don't never think that way. If I tell you this is how I ride and this is the path I'm taking, that's where I'm going. And you should be willing to go with me. But there are a lot of relationships. Man, where people break up or are at odds with one another right now, because of the mere fact that the goals that the person, told you that they were pursuing are no longer in alignment with what it is that you're willing to do. And it may never have been in alignment. You may thought in many ways that you were going to be able to change that. You were going to love it away. No, we're going to get dug in this here. We're going to get dug in doing this, and that's the way it's going to be. And I know I said it then. Because, it says here, because in a healthy, happy relationship, your partner would just be interested in and supportive of your goals. A healthy, happy relationship. It goes right back to that, folks. Remember we talked about there early on. Healthy, fulfilling, loving. Those are key elements in a relationship. If you don't have those, these things on this list ain't even going to matter. It also talks about that if your partner can help you supporting your goals, if your partner can help you and your partner says, hey, well listen, we're going to have to skip our date night tonight because I want to take you over to this networking function because you're trying to get this business, right? So we got to skip this tonight. We got to skip, going and hanging out with your family tonight because we need to do this. You should be willing to go along with that because your partner is helping you. Because once you start telling how to help you, it's a wrap. Gonna stop. And then what happens is, I'm gonna tell you what happens. When a person is resistant to the information, or the person continues to reject the information and efforts from their partner who's trying to help them move towards their goal, when that partner stops because of the behavior from the other person, then it gets flipped. Oh, well, you don't support this, and you don't support that. I tried to support you. Yeah, but as my man, you're supposed to keep on because that's your... No, as your man, it's not my responsibility to keep taking grief from you, to keep having you reject any idea that I put forth. Right? That's not my position. My position is to support you. So I'm going to support you, but I'm not going out my way to change my schedule to do this and to do that for you when you're against it in most cases. When you ask for help, then I'll offer it. But other than that, I'm not going to waste my energy like that, and it changes again. It changes the relationship. But that's open, honest communication. But you don't want to hear open, honest communication. You want to hear what you want. Because as long as you're hearing what you want, you're satisfied with that. And again, it goes back to, there are many relationships where people are not friends. They have not built on a friendship. They're together. And the whole effort is focused on trying to make the relationship work other than just developing the relationship, developing the friendship, because you got to be friends first. If you're not friends, what's this relationship about? Just serving each other's needs? Because that's ultimately what happens in most relationships. I'm focusing on servicing your needs. You're focusing on servicing my needs. There's a whole lot of posturing and competitiveness that is unnecessary, but it goes on because we're not even friends. We think that because we share a couple of commonalities, that makes our relationship successful. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. This is why it's important that we read articles about relationships, about human development. This is why it's so important, because the way we conduct ourselves in relationships is based on our conditioning, not on our understanding of self, not on our understanding of human behavior and development, not on our understanding of any of those things. We throw religion into it. This is how I'm supposed to be. We throw what grandma told us. This is how I'm supposed to be. We throw into what our parents tell us to be. This is what I'm supposed to be. And then we equate all our experiences along the way into all of this, and this is who we are. So we've already defined a healthy relationship, which in many cases is an unhealthy relationship. But we don't want to accept that, because we're that imperfect, seeking to be perfect person. And we lose sight of our own reality. And when it shows up in relationships, when somebody's asking you to support them, you see how selfish you really are in many ways. Now, why you want to do that? Yeah, but if you start doing that, then we're going to have less time together. But if you had the conversation about your goals, hopes, dreams, and aspirations with the person during the dating period, you would have known that. And it's expected. And when you don't get it, let me tell you from experience, walk away. If a person is not willing to support your dreams and aspirations, and I mean support by participating in every capacity they possibly can, independent of asking and also when being asked, you need to roll. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But they're going to expect for you to support theirs. Watch. So the bottom line on it says, just remember, balance is important. Number 3 on that list, because we're getting close to the hour. Spend a time to spend with friends and family. 5 things you should never feel guilty about asking your partner for in your relationship is what we're talking about. And then we're on number 3, time to spend with family and friends. Your friendships, to the article, and your relationships with family are just as important as your relationship. So you should never be with a partner who makes you feel guilty about wanting to spend some time with your loved ones. If you want to see your sister or go to brunch with your parents or have a night out with your friends, you definitely shouldn't feel guilty about it. Just make sure you save some time in your schedule for your partner too. Again, balance is key. Balance is key. I know a lot of people who are in those relationships where they want that person to be with them all the time. Even if they're not physically with that person. They can be in another room. They just want you to be there all the time. And when you're not there, they're always calling, I'm just checking on you. Yo, what's up? What you doing? Well, what did I tell you I was doing? I told you I was going to the cookout. What do you do at cookouts? I mean, that's the first thing you think. I'm at the cookout. Yeah, but what you doing? Well, right now, I'm trying to talk to you to tell you what I'm doing and trying to eat this damn barbecue rib. But I'm at the cookout. But you go through that kind of stuff. And then when you get in, they have an attitude because they're upset because you at the cookout. They chose not to go. They done already interrupted your flow. Right? Hold on. They done already interrupted your flow. So now you're irritated. Now you're at your barbecue. You can't even eat right and enjoy. And even though you make yourself be as pleasant as possible and enjoy the moment, it's in your mind. Now they done planted the seed of negativity. Because you know what you're going to come home to. You know what you're going to come home to. That's no kind of life. That's not a healthy, fulfilling, and loving relationship. It is not. It is not. And you need to address that through honest and open communication. You need to address that. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. I have dealt with all of these circumstances throughout the years of my life. All of them. I have taken so many things on the chin. If I could rewind everything back to the beginning in each one of those relationships, I would have been more honest and open about what I had to say. And we don't have to be angry in expressing those things. We don't have to be drag other situations into. But we have learned, we should have learned from the last situation. Because I didn't do this thing went in that direction. Because I didn't do that, I wound up married. So on and so forth. It's on us. It's never on the other person. It's never on the other person. Because when we choose to turn the blind eye to certain circumstances, that's on us. If it rubbed you the wrong way when it happened and you didn't speak up about it, or there was no resolve to it, or you find that you were met with resistance and attitude or whatever, you need to make a decision. Because the way that's handled, that's the coping mechanism for everything else that goes on in a relationship. That's the coping mechanism for everything. Don't ever think for a minute that it's not. And you'll find out. You'll find out. So you need to understand this. I'm good with you going out. Okay, can you just let me know when you get there? I just want to know you arrived alive. All right. Call me when you're leaving. I want to make sure I got an ear out for you. I got an eye out for you. Because anything can happen. A lot happened. on the way to grandmother's house for Little Red Riding Hood. That's life itself. But I'm not going to be calling you, what you doing? How much longer you going to be? If I call you, it's because I need something. Now listen, on your way back, can you pick up such and such? I'm not going to be calling you, asking you what the hell you doing. You done already told me what the hell you doing. I'm going over to hang out with my mother. I'm going over to hang out with my sister. Me and my homeboy, we're going to go down to the thrift store, and you know what we do. Yeah, okay. Holla at you. If you don't trust that the person is doing that, what the hell are you doing with them? Think about it. As affectionate and loving and passionate I am, and hell, I just love to be up under, you know, whoever my partner is, right? Listen, I can't wait for you to get back. End the story. Find something to do. Or go along. But never stop your partner from having me time. They need to be able to go and do this, and family and friends is important. I live a long way from family, and I damn sure ain't got no friends here. I got co-workers here. I got no friends here. But I'm good. But I call my family. We have other means to communicate. You got Skype, FaceTime, house party, all kind of other ways to communicate. I value friendship, and I don't take friendship lightly, so I ain't just trying to be homies with somebody just because. I don't need none of that. I'm good. But when your partner wants to go spend time with their family, you should definitely encourage it. Here, take my car. I'm good. I'll stay home. I'll find something to do here. Go ahead and take my car. You're going to catch the bus. I want you to be able to get back and forth safely. Go ahead and take the car. That's important. The last thing on the list, because we are at the hour, is time to yourself. Oh no, that's what we're doing. Okay, along with spending time with your friends and family, you should absolutely never feel guilty about wanting to take some time to yourself, whether it's just to relax or to pursue hobbies and other things that interest you. Unless you've just totally been ignoring making plans with your partner for a while, they should understand. And if you're spending a lot of time with your partner, you should be able to ask for some alone time guiltlessly. And this is another part that's real important, right? I am always involved in varied projects. I'm working on film, working on book. I do the videos. I'm always working. I always got projects lined up. That's how I bring balance into my life. So when I get bored, I get up in my head about things, right? I find something to do. I always have something to do. This is important. It's important that you find some kind of hobby or something like that. I know they have those paint parties or whatever they call them, where you go and you draw the picture and you drink wine and get drunk and you act silly and all kinds of stuff. But find something to do. I'm thinking about taking some salsa classes. So I'm always finding something to do to keep balance in my life. That's me time. You have to have some you time. Sometimes that you time is just you sitting on the beach and just chilling, listening to the waves and reading a book. Sometimes it's you just letting Calgon take you away. But it says it's about relaxing and pursuing hobbies. And if you've been spending a lot of time with your partner, unless that person is just insecure and just extremely clingy, they shouldn't have no problem whatsoever. So listen, I need a break. And you should always be taking a break from one another in some capacity throughout the course of the week.